Are you at a stage in your life where you feel like you're stuck? There's something's blocking your spiritual evolution and you don't know what it is. You're just miserable, you don't know. Or you don't feel like you expanding. Something is blocking you. What is that obstacle that is preventing for you to experience your blissful nature and your happiness and joy and tap into your full potential? Are you there? Stay tuned, because here Devi Ma is going to look at the three major the three unseen obstacles that most people who are on the spiritual path, what we call sadhika, are not aware of, or they might be aware of, but when it happens to them in their own lifetime, they don't know. And it will be incredibly empowering for you and insightful. So let's get to it. Let's look at this. What is it? And you're not alone. Just know that you are not alone, because anyone who wants to feel happy and joyous in their life and who are on the spiritual path will at one point, especially in the beginning of the spiritual, when you embark on it, you will face some roadblock right in front, some wall. It's a guarantee. It's the nature of the spiritual path and the spiritual ascension. So, number one, what is the number one? It is wanting to run away. Wanting to run away when you're about to make a big breakthrough, because you're running away from an obstacle. So in a way, you're facing two obstacles. The obstacle you're facing, you don't want to face it. You put a lot of resistance, and that one is so common and is a very dangerous one, because it will completely prevent you from growing, from expanding, from breaking boundaries, and experiencing what we call Satchit Ananda, your true divine blissful nature. Running away is the ego, because often you would think ego is the biggest obstacle. Yeah, we could say ego identification is one, and most people are aware of that. Ego will always get in the way. But those are so subtle. They are so subtle that you won't even see them. And you are in it and you say, why am I experiencing so much suffering, hardship right now? I'm not understanding myself. I'm confused. Are you there, beloved? So I remember in my days, so many decades ago, when I was with Guruji, I was at the ashram, and I was just being initiated into Kriya Yoga, and I saw so many faces of my past life. And as I was doing the Kriya, I would see Indian faces. I could recognize their faces, and it brought up so much sobbing and screaming, hyperventilation, and it was so painful, and I just ran away. I ran away, and I was running away all through the ashram like a wounded animal, and I went into my room, and I was sobbing and sobbing for hours and hours, and I was so hurt, and I did not know why I was so hurt. It was so painful. And I called my guru, and I saw him in my third eye, and I said, be there. And I started dancing with him, and it was going on, and the healing process, the purification. What happened here is Shakti, the primordial energy, what we call in the yogic tradition, come and heal and purify. And it went on for hours and hours, and it was like intense sobbing. And I had no idea what it was, but it was a karmic purification. I'm just giving you an example. And I didn't want to go through it, but I called him, and I saw myself at the end dancing with him and laughing, and I felt so free after so many hours of intense of sobbing, purification, healing deep wound of past life. And later on, I went to call my husband at the time, and I told him, no, I'm coming home. I don't want to go into the advanced program. I don't want to go in silence. I wanted to run away. It is so common, beloved, wanting to run away. Ego will trick you, will deceive you, will make you believe all kinds of things. Don't listen, because this is when you're about to break through the biggest boundaries, the biggest limitation, and you free yourself. Because when you find, and the antidote is having courage and surrendering and calling upon the Ascended Master and your own Master and your own inner Guru, your own divinity, that you know you can go through this. You know that it's like pus, look at it, like a big wound that is very infected. If you leave it like that, you know the infections, like let's say you have a staph infection. I have had many staph infection. It could eat up your whole body. You have to get rid of it. So it's the same. So if you run away from it, you know what's going to happen, beloved? Yeah, it will come back in different form for you, and you're only prolonging the suffering. You're only prolonging the pain and the misery. The faster you go through it, the freer you will be. And the more you will ascend, the more you will experience your divine nature. So that same night, when I was sitting for satsang, I was sitting right next to my guru at his feet, and I just grabbed his hand and I started dancing with him in front of hundreds of people. And it was exactly what I saw in my third eye. I was with Guru Dev, and it was so freeing, because after you ran away, you made yourself face the obstacle. You will never run away. You will have broke that boundary forever. So number two is the most dangerous one. And that one is so subtle, and ego will deceive you here, the mind will deceive you, will tell you all kinds of things. Is when you embark on the spiritual path, or you are on it, after a while, you stop being open and receptive. So you're no longer open and receptive. You say, oh, I know that. Oh, I know that. And then you become like, you allowed your ego identification to take over. And then you come to conclusion, you come to assumption very quick. And then you judge. And then you don't stay open. So the antidote for that is just be like a child in a state of wonderment, like everything is new. Can you do that, beloved? Because if you cut yourself into this subtle boundary, and I bet you, one of you, already some of you already like that. Oh, I heard that. Oh, I know that. But the reality is you don't know many things. It's common. I see it with my followers so often. And then you close the gate. What happened, beloved, is that you say no to God. You say no to yourself. You say no to your divine presence. You say no to your spiritual evolution when you stop being open and receptive. That's what happened. That's one of my secrets. Devi Ma just went like, pshh, because I always been in a state of complete surrender and a state of awe and reverence, open and receptive. Never close the gate, because when you close the gate, actually when you stop being open and receptive, and it's so subtle, you really have to use mindfulness and awareness here, because again, ego will fool you in many, many ways. So you're saying, I'm closing the gate, I'm closing the windows, and then you know what's going to happen? You will suffer the consequences, because you're stuck, you're stagnant, and you're not going to grow. And that is a huge peril, is a huge danger. It's the most subtle, unseen danger on the spiritual path, and it's extremely common. So remember that. And I was graced within my own being to have the discernment and the mindfulness and the awareness to really listen to my own inner divinity. So learn that and come to Devi's Grace, empower yourself. You would be amazed what Becoming the Light Inner Journey Mastery Program and Radiating the Light Advanced Program can do for you, to allow this gate for the divine to bring acceleration to your spiritual process. So the last one is number 3. That one is also very subtle, is you are spiritually awakening. You are experiencing one of the spiritual awakening phases, and you mistake it for an obstacle, and then you put resistance instead of embracing it. Have you been there? I think you know what I'm talking about. Maybe not. Let's backtrack a little bit. A spiritual awakening, one of the first stage is, we talked about in previous video, is when you're healing your inner child. It's a first phase, you healing the wound, the deep wound of your childhood that you have repressed, all the conditioning. Another phase of the spiritual awakening is you need solitude. Another one can be where you're confused, you have lost complete identity of who you are. There are many phases, and by the way, if you haven't watched those videos, those are really empowering videos, the 6 breathtaking phases on awakening. Or another video is about how to raise your vibrancy, your vibration through yogic tool. And that video is coming up. It's really empowering. You must watch this one if you haven't. And so that one, what happened is, if you run away from it, if you put resistance, but most likely you don't run away from it because you have no choice, you're in it. So, but you will put resistance, and the resistance will bring even more misery, more pain, more suffering, and you will get more confused, and a load of incredible negative things. It's like you go into a spiraling downward with low vibrancy, and then you're confused, and why is this happening to me? And one thing attracts another thing. Just embrace it. When you go through a spiritual awakening phase, it's the greatest blessing, even though it can be painful. Because if you look at the gunas Devi Ma talk about in Becoming the Light program, you will understand guna means is the quality that governs the universe. You will see that it's very sattvic, based on the principle of lucidity, that what you're going through might bring in the beginning some misery, a little pain, but in the long run, it's going to free you with joy, with happiness, with success, with bliss, with freedom. Don't you want that? So if you love this video and you find it useful, share it with your beloved friends, because I'm sure you have some friends who are confused, they might be having hardship. Share it. And what is it in this video that you feel like maybe you have gone through that, or maybe you're going through this, or maybe, oh, this was really insightful? Write it down in the comment section, and don't forget to press the like button and stay tuned. Just with the bell, make sure the notification is on, and Devi Ma is here for you. So if you have any question, write it down on the description, and we're happy to do a video for you. A lot of those videos are based on questions like you, who needs support, who need a loving community like Davy's Grace, who need spiritual guidance, and who need the yogic tool to empower you to not only heal, but empower and transform your life. So, and subscribe if you haven't done so, and come and check out our programs, because you would be amazed of how fast you could accelerate on the spiritual path and live a life that you deserve. Don't you want that to be free and blissful? That is your true nature.